These evil people will not go down without a fight. They will take us all with them. If they, like a naughty little child that won't share their toys, if I can't have them, I'll break them. I'm not going to share. So that's what they will. They'll burn this world down and kill all of us with them, because if they can't have it, no one will have it, including us. That's why I'm here. That's why I have been called by God, and God gave me this chance, and I stand by God and my service to him, this country, and humanity. Thank you, God, and I'm glad and honored to be of service to all those here. So thank you. Like to let everybody know that if you would like any other additional information, I give all those listening permission to contact me through my Gmail, which is COLOSENSEI64, and that's at Gmail. And a little bit of me is I'm a plus 20-year submarine Navy veteran, and had a very high clearance, and so was privy to a lot. And I red-pilled initially in 1990 on August 22nd.
Yeah, August 22nd. So basically been doing 30-plus hours of research for 30-plus years.
For me, since that time, this has been my day-to-day, every day since then. And, I've spent nights where I've cried for hours and weeks awake where I can't sleep with the hideous natures of the things I've had to see, watch, and know. And so I understand that, what's normal to me now is like way out there for a lot of people. The technologies that are out there are so vast and so beyond. I understand it seems impossible to believe.
This is talking about below is a new decode on the dumb, deep underground military bases system and under-earth war, prolonged spiritual war for the survival of Eden, earth, and humanity. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. There are 4 stages of this prolonged spiritual battle between good and evil, or the evil darkness forces that stand opposed to the divine plan of the one true living God, and those that have dedicated themselves to the service of the one true living God. The 4 stages necessary to complete in order to win this war against the evil darkness that descended centuries ago on earth and attack humanity are, number 1, remove the evil darkness from the space about the earth and maintain permanent supremacy therein. Number 2, remove the evil darkness from the earth's skies and maintain permanent supremacy therein. Number 3, remove the evil darkness from the surface of the earth and maintain permanent supremacy therein. And number 4, remove the evil darkness from beneath the surface of the earth, under the earth's surface, throughout all tunnels, labyrinths, caverns, and domes, deep underground military bases, and maintain permanent supremacy therein. Stage 1, 2 have been mostly completed by the Q Alliance, Patriots, and White Hats. Stage 3 has had vast advances by the Q Alliance, with only a few strongholds left, mainly being China, Iran, and Israel. With these countries, the top leadership are now White Hat Patriots, and the swamp draining and removal of the satanic evil upper echelon is proceeding, and with the branches of those countries, governments. In the U.S., the swamp draining has seen great advances, and after the 2Q, the 2020 elections are completed, there will be vast changes occurring, starting with the mass arrests and military tribunals and executions of those found guilty of treason. Stage 4 has now begun, the massive under-earth war, with the call-up of all branches of the U.S. great military, 10,000 U.S. military in operations at 29 Palms. I have the Special Forces leading the vanguard using weapons very few have knowledge of or have even dreamed of. Is advancing through the immense Illuminati demon forces and vast, interconnected, deep underground military bases complex that is connected within national highways and tunnels with magnetic levitating trains, maglevs, capable of speeds of up to 17,000 miles an hour that connect the facilities and dumps throughout the world. If I look at this right here, this is a link that Gene has provided us. And this is showing, unlike any exercise, a massive Marine Corps war game is happening at 29 Palms.
This was a joint op with the Marines, Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, and the National Guard, and it was a massive operation. That was the cover for getting into this DUMS of China Lake that goes from the Presidio in San Francisco down through the Ridgecrest tunnels all the way under LA, out from the submarine entrance at Coos Bay all the way into China Lake. And as we'll see here later, that whole facility is mostly gone. There's still a little bit mop up going on. So they're almost done with this. And that's all the fires, like at the Oakland Bay Bridge and in San Francisco. On the Oakland side, there were fire. And then in Porter Ranch, there was fires. That's because they have to clean that out. The Kuru infected, that's contagious in late stage 2 and stage 3. So they have to use fire to clean those beings out. If they die, that's highly contagious. And so they continue to do that, and it's almost completed now. We're almost completely done, but California's, majority of California, that huge light rail system they were putting in, the high-speed bullet train, all of that was just to create more tunnels, more DUMS, and so that all has to be cleaned out. It's a massive operation. Now, this first map here is the main surface DUMS, in other words, near surface, that only go to about 80, 90 miles deep. So that map there shows all of the interconnected tunnel systems along with the primary big, huge DUMS. Like the person in Michigan had asked me about the peninsula, and I told her the DUM goes under Lake Ontario, the tunnels from it to Lake Superior, where she's seeing lots of kids being grabbed. You can see how those tunnels go under there. Those are actually being cleaned right now. Those tunnel systems, they're going up into Canada, which is, a massive nest of just total satanic mess. And then you can see the connection to Dulce and the big, huge bases in New Mexico and Area 51 and Nevada and all of that. And then you can see the old connection to China Lake, which is all taken out, and the Ridgecrest tunnel system going up through connected to San Francisco and the Presidio, going way up north through Coos Bay in Oregon and up and through Washington and all the way up. So all of that's being worked on heavily, as we'll see in this decode. And then this map is the mid-level DUMS, the more ancient DUMS. And they figured out, based on their intel, how much flooding all the DUMS in the world would take. And it would drop the ocean level so vast that it could cause another ice age, because if you drop it too far, you get down into the big currents that circulate through the ocean. Like in the Atlantic, you have the Gulf Stream, and then you have the Horatio current and all of those different currents. And if you upset those currents and the ocean flows, you can literally upset the entire ecosystem of the world. And so they decided they had to use hand-to-hand combat on land, as well as certain advanced techniques that they've just recently come upon. Like they took out the DUM in Twin Lakes, or Twin Falls rather, in which they blew a hole in a lava tube that is part of the supervolcano of Yosemite, and in doing so, they flooded that facility down to the deep DUMS. Now, these ones are the ones that go extremely deep and are very, very ancient. Back when the Satanics first came here, it goes into a hole that Admiral Byrd went into that is in the Arctic, and all of the bases up in Siberia, the deep, extremely deep satanic bases of the satanic beings and the demons. So what you're seeing here is the demonic stuff, the really deep, really evil stuff. That's why it says at the bottom, Wiccacraft. That's, black magic, Satanism, satanic magic, and all of that casting, incantations and spells. And all of this is very dark and deep and evil. And so the battle down there is very horrendous, but the connections underneath the ocean are gone. Those have been blown and flooded. So they don't have the maglev trains going from continent to continent anymore.
This is the last stronghold of the Satanic Illuminati, ancient evil Nephilim bloodlines of Cain. Evidence of this battle can be seen with the fires coming out of sewers, storm holes, drains, and manholes, covers in California.
There's fire actually coming through the manholes at Porter Ranch up at the Ralphs up here. That's pretty crazy. I've never seen that before. A lot of flames coming through there. So it's underground at this moment. There's some more over here coming through another vent. That's wild.
In Alaska, there was and cleaned out the Brooks Range and two bases, which were the Delta Junction and Fort Greely, which are in the same area. In Arizona, there's Fort Hawaka, or West rather, excuse me. And intelligence, this was used for intelligence training, mind control, genetics, and detention in a detention camp for renegade civilian amps and rounding up people when they do their end times. Luke Air Force Base, that's now under White Hat control. Gates Pass Base, that's now under White Hat control. Gila Mountain Area, that's now under White Hat control. And then there's the Grand Wash Cliffs, that's still under the dark side. It's the western edge of the cliffs at the head of Grapevine Wash. It must be reached via Highway 93 and unpaved roads. There's Green Valley. Then under White Hat control is Hulapai Mountains east of the mountain range, 35 miles southeast of Kingman. That's out on the way out to Las Vegas from Flagstaff, Arizona. Then you have Rincon Mountain, north side of Rincon Mountain. And I'll just from now on, if it's under White Hat control, I'll say afterwards. Mount Lemmon, Page goes all the way under Hoover Dam and the reservoir. Safford, Santa Catalina Mountains, the Sedona, Arizona detainment camp located under the Enchantment Reservoir Resort in Boynton Canyon. And then under White Hat control, the Wickiup complex. And that one was just found in the process of cleaning up some other things, and they took it out when they found it. Then there's the Yucca Mountains. You can actually see this as you drive on I-40. If you're driving towards California, it's on your right, and it's easily you'll see four massive large power cables penetrating into the side of the mountain for that Yucca Mountain. There's a picture of the facility where you go in right there. Then we have in Arkansas a White Hat now controlled facility in the vicinity of Hardy and Cherokee Village. This is taken under White Hat control during Hurricane Dorian. And then we have the Pine Bluff, 34 degrees, 13.4 north, 92 degrees, 1 minute west. And that's still under the Dark Hat side. In California, that was the article we saw at the beginning where that's where they started the takeover of all of the massive interconnected California system. 29 Palms Marine Base is now under White Hat control. It was identified in military airspace area as our area R2501, which means it's a no-fly zone. And that was southeast of Ludlow, California. China Lake, that was completely neutralized and taken out. Through the Ridgecrest tunnels, they collapsed them as they came in. Then they did a series of 3 tactical nukes. The first blast was at 6.4, second one was at 7.1, and another one followed that at 6.1. And for those that understand earthquakes, your initial shock is the highest. Aftershocks aren't lower, so that's not natural. It's really obvious that was intentional. And then you can see the link there about this, which completely made the China Lake base that was on the surface have to be completely rebuilt due to that large facility. And people freak out when I tell them this, but that was a Mark Ultra base, what they call a spark gap grid, where they have, a large nuclear blast that hollowed that out, to come in and lay hundreds of layers of steel flooring with cages in them that they put children in. When the special forces, a large group of special forces came in, they rescued 35,927 children from this facility. It was one of the primary Mark Ultra development facilities on Earth. Mm-hmm. So thank God for our military, like Trump says and Q says, because that's a lot of children that, would have been, that were going through horrendous situation. It's just, they're in these cages and lights and bells go off and they get electrocuted all the time and mistreated badly to, turn them into Mark Ultra slave bots. Then in Darwin, 4 miles west of Darwin City, there's a dam. Then we have Deep Springs that's now under White Hat control at 37 degrees, 22 minutes north, 117 degrees, 59.3 minutes west. That's then we have Fort Irwin, 35 degrees, 20 minutes north, 116 degrees, 8 minutes west. That was a detainment camp for renegade civilian ops after Hillary got in. They rounded up all of humanity into these detainment camps. That's what, every time you see that, that's what that means. Then under White Hat control, Edwards Air Force Base in the area where Diamond Creek and the South Fork of the Yuba meet. Then still under Black Hat control, George Air Force Base. Under White Hat control was Helendale. That was the Lockheed underground facility. That was technology and secret projects development base. Los Angeles is under White Hat control on Highway 14 towards Edwards Air Force Base after Palm Day. This was for technology, the Illuminati secret projects. This facility is near the Hachapai Mountains. It's reported that this goes 42 levels deep. It is heavily involved with electronics and high-tech aerospace research. Mount Shasta, many people that live in that area know how you see all kinds of stuff there all the time. It's a massive base. It's for advanced space technology, genetic experiments, magnetic advances, space and beam weaponry. This is the deepest known facility. It's over 800 in California. It's over 800 miles deep. Kern River facility, the hollowed out mountain next to the hydroelectric facility at the Kern River project near Bakersfield, California. The Napa Valley facility is now under White Hat control. This is where they used to grab people that would go through the Napa Valley, do mine sampling. They'd sign up and they'd see if they have relatives or people that missed them. They'd grab them and take them underground here. This was located, the primary entrance at the Oakville grade north of Napa. Tunnels also connect with the wineries all throughout all of Napa Valley. It's used for white slavery and mine control, as well as direct satellite communications, laser communications, a continuation of government site. In this case, we're talking continuation of the Illuminati government. In other words, the deep state. This was located on the Oakville grade in Napa County, and it's a total of 87 acres, this Napa Valley facility. Norton Air Force Base is now under White Hat control. Next base, Quincy, is at 39 degrees, 56.2 minutes north, 120 degrees, 56.5 west. Then near Palmdale, we have the Palmdale Boulevard. They call it Palmdale Base. It's the McDonnell Douglas facility called the Uano facility. And you can see it better with from the Three Sisters Hills area to the south of the facility. This base is involved in high-tech aerospace technology. Then the Presidio, which is the massive system that goes under, that I was talking about earlier, that goes under all of San Francisco and out under the harbor to Oakland. That was a FEMA DOD site for Region 9 of the regional office. This was neutralized with underground burnout, which caused fires to be seen all the way down to Porter Ranch. San Bernardino base, which is now under White Hat control, was at 34 degrees, 50 minutes north, 34 degrees, 16 minutes west. I got north there again, I don't know why. Was under the entire San Bernardino Valley. It was neutralized with a tactical nuke, causing 2 earthquakes at 4.5 and then 3.2. Again, aftershocks are not normally like that. They're different. And you can see a lot of the dams and facilities there on that map and all those interconnections.
Yeah, so it may not be as much the San Andreas fault as it is all these wars going on down there, huh?
Yes, sir. And then Santa Barbara County is dumb. It's in the thick diatomite strata, which is diatomite is a very hard mineral. It's just slightly less hard than a diamond. So that one's going to take a little more effort to get into. That's still under the dark cats or the deep state. In Santa Rosa as well is under deep state still. It's at 38 degrees, 26.4 north, 122 degrees, 42.9 west. That's a FEMA regional center for the West Coast. What is being done here is mostly kept secret, but this base is listed as a communications antenna field, but it's obviously being used for much more. Then we have the Sierra Nevada Mountain Complex, which is a very deep military base. Then the Tehachapi, probably not pronouncing that one right myself, Ranch, and that's in the Tehachapi Canyon. It was finished in 1995 in September. This is called the Unholy Six Base. Then the Trona Complex is now White Hat controlled. That was at 35 degrees, 45.5 north, 117 degrees, 22.6 west. It's several miles northeast of Trona, and it's directly underneath Argus Peak. This dump sits on China Lake's land and was built in the 60s, but it was neutralized along with China Lake, as well as the next one, which was part of that whole battle that they did under the special forces and all of that, which is Benicia, that's now under White Hat control as well. Catalina Island base, still under the dark side, Chocolate Mountains, Death Valley, which the entrance to the Death Valley system was in the Panamint Mountain down on the lower edge of the range near the Wingate Pass, and it was at the entrance was in the bottom of an abandoned mine shaft. Then there's a Lancaster base, which is used for aircraft design, anti-gravity engineering, stealth craft, and testing, and it's 42 levels deep. The Lawrence Livermore International Lab Complex is used for human genome mapping and making clones. They're trying to resolve the differences that clones don't look exactly like humans. For example, the earlobes are attached, where the human would have a free swinging earlobe. So they're looking at working on chromosome 19. This was a newly built lab that cost $1.2 billion, and it was for the laser facility that they had there that had to do all of that technology and engineer all that. The Moreno Valley Complex, then there's the Mount Lassen Complex, which is now under White Hat control. The Needles Complex, the Palmdale Complex, new aircraft design, anti-gravity research was done there, or is being done there, excuse me. This is in the process of being burned out. It's still part of the mop-up, so this one is not completely yet under White Hat control. That's part of all that burnout that you see. And then the Tehachapi facility north of Tejon Ranch, which is 42 levels, the Ukiah facility, and then Cocoweef Peak, which was an old mining city, and they built a facility under the Cocoweef Peak, and that's now under White Hat control. Next, we go to Colorado, my home, Alamosa, and I talked to somebody who was living out there, seeing all the black helicopters, all of this with the special forces. They cleaned that completely out. The Book Cliffs is still under Dark Cat control. The Boulder facility has been cleaned out. That's a headquarters for the EMC, which is a type of electromagnetic mind control system that was going to be used once we were all highly integrated with all the nanofibers and nanotech and smart dust that are putting in our vaccinations and our air and our water. So they would use that as well as for their Mark Ultra slaves, and as well through your smartphones, all your smart devices that would make us all into little bots for them. This is genetic. This whole big, huge facility was for genetics and geology mining, as well as related to advancing technology for tunneling and underground construction. Under White Hat control, that's part of the huge facility that went, as we'll see, from DIA, Colorado Springs, NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain. That was for Canada, U.S., and FEMA. Hundreds of people are on staff. It's 4.5 cubic miles of underground caverns, 45 underground steel buildings. They had complex of tracks and satellites and missiles and submarine entrances and much, much more. This NORAD facility also controlled the Monarch Mark Ultra Slave that had the end times programming, which is known as Alex, Janus, and Alexis for callback when they were going to do with Hillary their nuclear war, and then round up the renegade civilians, and they would activate those bots to help take people out. And they still have a lot of those bots. From what I've been told, 6 million have been taken out, or got a hold of and taken the implants that they put in them out, and they're getting their personalities and their beingnesses put back together, and getting the demons that they put in charge of each personality once they do the torture and create those personalities. But there's still some. So when we see the report coming out in maybe with the Durham around March, I would be ready, because that's why if they have to do martial laws for these bots that don't even know that they are. And then that NORAD facility was 1,287 miles of underground road. And that's all now completely under the Alliance control and completely cleaned up. Then there was the Fort Collins, which is still not completely done yet. That came up into the University of Colorado State University at Fort Collins. And then the DIA Denver complex, which consists first off of 5 buildings they dug out and put in there before they laid down the swastika runways for DIA and the buildings. And then they had 70 floor. These 2 primary buildings are 70 floors high. This facility goes down 8 cities, literally stacked on top of each other under Denver, and the lowest city is 22 miles in diameter. So this is a massive facility. I've actually been on the train coming from flights and listened to people talking. 2 stories. Don't get off when we get to the main terminal. I got a special tour to go under the big stuff. So, if you're paying attention, you can see that, and that, all of that is connected and underneath there, and you can see it when you ride those trains. If you're paying attention, you can see the train tracks going off in different directions. And this facility was also for a concentration camp for separation of personnel when they would put martial law in after the nuclear World War III. And if you go around DIA and look, the barbed wire all around DIA is facing in, not keeping people out. It's keeping people in. That barbed wire faces in, not out. You can also see pipes and everything coming out of the ground. You can see that huge ziggurat that continues up until they got this under control. You can see semis coming up and dumping dirt, and then literally sink into that ziggurat and come up facing the other way with materials to take out. There were 2 labs destroyed by scientists that gave their life back in 2012, taking out a dead man switch. This lab laid right underneath Pena Boulevard. For those people that live in Colorado during that time, there was a 4.7 earthquake, and Pena Boulevard was in excellent condition. They tore the whole thing up, and then they came in with trucks, removed all that debris, and then they completely rebuilt Pena Boulevard just like it was before they tore it up. I mean, there's no reason to tear up perfectly good access to the airport and then put it back the way you had it originally, unless there was something going on underneath it that you needed to clean up. And that was part of the maglev train system came in through there as well. So that connected DIA with Washington, D.C. So they really wanted that access. So they came in, and those 2 scientists gave their life to keep the entire Front Range of Colorado from being wiped out by Kuru. So God bless them, and we honor their sacrifice. Mm-hmm. There are areas and areas of fenced-in barbed wire, concrete stacks, and you can see many cooling towers all over the DIA complex, all over the runways. Pay attention if you ever fly in and out of there. You can see the entrances. This area is much larger. The DIA complex is much larger than the city that's on top, the Denver, and its suburbs. And this was the reason is, and this is why Obama actually spent, when they thought there was an asteroid coming in, he flew to Denver and he went underground there. This was for continuity of government for the deep state. And this is all for their transition system That goes all the way up under what is called the Federal Center, which is between 6th Avenue and Alameda. There's a nuclear reactor both there and under DIA to power this whole thing. It's the main hub for all the maglevs, and the entire continent had hubbed out from Denver system. It has massive Mark Ultra facilities with Delta Orion in-time programming teams there, as well as all these foreign troops that were put in there to flood out of that facility. They have 150 years of food storage, and they had a large lake in there with parks and flora and fauna and animals and all of that stuff to make it look literally a beautiful 7-star resort. It was also part of the free energy Tesla grid system. This whole facility went a total of 88.3 miles deep. And you can see one of those entrances, and that's literally right underneath the front pier runways there. If you look down on DIA, the runways are in a shape of a swastika, and all over DIA is all kinds of demonic murals, gargoyles, all kinds of things out on the facing the airport runways. There's a statue to Anubis, and there's a plaque saying it's the New World Order Airport.
Scary stuff.
Then in the Grand Mesa, that's up above Grand Junction. That's completely under White Hat control. Another person I knew was there, and they saw the stuff going on in that clean out there, as well as the Montrose base, which was north of Paradox in the Paradox Valley. Then the Creed, that's reached through old mine shafts of the silver mines in Creed, and that actually goes out quite a ways. Then the Delta facility under the San Juan Valley. Then Falcon Air Force Base, that's used for satellite control. The Gore Range, which is near the lake west of Denver Library, and the Central Data Bank. It's the central data bank for all of the New World Order in this side of the world. The San Juan Valley is completely a dome underneath the entire San Juan Valley, all the way up underneath the Gray Sand Dunes. And that's the entrance is hidden underneath a buffalo grazing ground and a crocodile farm. And then in Telluride, they have a base there where if you ski out of bounds, they figure you're fair game and they grab you from the ski area. In Warden Valley, which is west of Fort Collins, is now under White Hat control. The Montrose base, also north of Paradox in the Paradox Valley, as well, another base. And then in Connecticut, we go, there's just one base that's in somewhere in northwest Connecticut. I haven't been able to vet out exactly where that is. In Florida, there was, this base should actually now be in italics, Rick. That was taken under control during Hurricane Dorian by SEAL Team 9. Georgia, we have a 3-base facility that is interconnected. It's the regional center for that area of the country. It's under Atlanta, and it has New World Order was redirecting the boundaries, as I said earlier, so that's the base for the entire area. It has 3 large underground facilities, which are composed of Kennesaw Mountain, Marietta, which is connected to Dobbs Air Force Base, and the South Atlanta, which is entered through Forest Park. Then there's the Thomasville base, which is at 30 degrees, 50.2 north, 83 degrees, 58.9 west. This is another FEMA regional camp center where they train groups in search and destroy missions, otherwise known as renegade civilian ops. So this is the primary facility for training their renegade civilian ops. It's the regional center for the training of the ops, as well as the entire Continental Center. And then what I'm talking about here is when martial law was to come during, after the end of all the nukes going off for World War III, with Hillary getting in, which was planned to happen within 2 months of her election. They were going to have a submarine launch nukes off the coast of Korea and the Soviet Union, making it look like they launched, and we'd have a nuclear war. These are United Nations International Security Forces, UNISF, and the UNMATF, which stands for United Nations Multinational Task Force. It's located throughout DUMBs throughout the U.S., and I actually invaded, a student of mine and I went into one of these ops in Hawaii when they were training with all Vietnamese, and asked them what they're doing up there on the coal house. So this stuff is, absolutely for real. And scroll up there, Rick. Please, sir. Thank you. Canada was going to also deploy their own forces. This stuff goes all the way up into Canada. The CIA red list and blue list. If you were to look in your mailbox, about before Hillary got in, you would see a little blue dot, a red dot. Sorry about that. It's my doggy girl. That would be in your post office box or your mailbox, and this would tell you red list means that just to wipe you out, they come and round people up. You're not useful as a slave. They were just going to kill you and take you away, and troop carriers would come. The blue list means you're trainable and salvageable as a nice little slave. These troops are, God bless and thank our troops, different types of troops like Chinese, Russian, German, Polish, Japanese, Ukrainian, Saudi Arabian, Pakistani, for putting in their Pakistani, Mexican, Hungarian, to clean out the Salvadorian, Chilean monsters out of our country, the ones I saw in Hawaii, and other foreign trade forces to bring that were trained to the ultra bring forces, the humanity back to what it should have been before the deception of the satanics coming here. We bless all of those listening, and we give great gratitude for the soldiers, the Army, for Air Force, Marines, all 6 branches of our military that are helping. These troops and this stuff are being brought into the country at 2,000 people a month, betrayed us and lied to us throughout many hundreds of years. God bless them in the name and all of those here, and protect you all in the name of the one true living God of all love, light, compassion, and creation, the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.